Hello my fellow board gamers, today I'm bringing you an overview of Power Grid Factory Manager, and you can see the designer just there, and at the bottom it's brought to us by these guys here. Now this one plays in about 60 minutes, it says. I'd say it's just a tad over. It's that sort of medium complexity game, and it plays 2 to 5 players, and in this game we are entrepreneurs running a factory trying to optimize the most production, storage, and hopefully have the least energy costs. So you can see this is our factory here. You're going to be tracking at the top, if you can just see these faint numbers. So you've got your production at the top here starting on 2, you've got your storage capacity on 3. Now as these go up, you will be getting your income based on the lowest one. So even if you get all this storage in the world, you're only going to get 20 electro, is the currency in the game, at the end of the 5th phase. So you want to get both of these up as high as you can. So you can see now the lowest one's at 80, so that's what you get paid out in income. And these rates are dependent on what you have in your factory. As you can see, we start off with 2 machines, and you can see the little green means you're gaining something, whereas you're losing or is a cost for the items in red. So you can see we've got 1, 2 production, which starts us off on number 2, and we got 3 of these little storage tokens or icons, which puts us on 3. Now these also have a cost in workers. You can see just here 2 workers are required to run this machine and 2 for that, which is why we have 4 workers starting off in the canteen. And the costs in electricity, you got our energy, we got 2 energy to run this machine and 2 for this, which means our energy on the side here starts on 4, and you can see it could go all the way up to 10 or 1. And this is your factory. You've got 10 spots available. You can, if you add a cost, add 2 more spots. You pay 10 for this one to add something there and 10 here. Now you can add any tile in here except the control and the optimization tiles, and you'll see on the market just above is a host of tiles there, from extra machines, extra robots in red, yellow robots, you've got extra storage here, and then you've got these control ones and optimization, so the right symbols have to go in the right 2 spaces here. Now you can as well sort of destroy tiles in one of the actions as well, which may be needed to sort of get rid of some of these ones that aren't quite as productive and get better ones in. Now how does a round play out then? So in a 2-player game, let's just say you'll have been allocated at the 2-player order number and the number 10. You can see as you are last, or I can't remember the range, but as these get low, you're going to get potential discounts from the purchase of these tiles and the purchase of potential extra seasonal workers. Now the first phase is the actual auction for player order. So you got, in a 2-player game, you got these 4 randomly shuffled. You take 2 out, and you've got a 6 and a 1 that you'll be bidding on. So the player with the highest, who basically is going to be currently last, will get first dibs on which one they're going to try and win. Now in this game, it's not based on money for the auction, it's based on your available workers. So you start off with 7, 4 are currently working, so you've got 3 to begin with. Now let's just say they really want to go first and they decide to put a worker on. Now you don't actually have to put a worker. You can say, right, I'm bidding on this for a cost of 0, which then allows your opponent to spend 1 worker to up the bid. But in this case, they're going to go, right, I want to use an available worker for that one. Play passes clockwise, and in this 2-player game, they're like, right, you know what, I'm not first, you can have that one, I'm not bidding. So these guys now win this tile, they get rid of their old one, and that will be sort of reshuffled back into future rounds. These guys win this one, and that is it. Now, say these are the yellows, they've not had to use one of their available workers, whereas the red player has. So this worker's currently out of use now for this round, whereas these guys have got 3 workers and these have only got 2, which will come into play how important that is shortly. And these guys have a discount as well. So that's how you determine the player order for the rest of the round. You then move into the preparation of the market phase. So you can see just above here then, I'll look at these 3 tiles at the bottom. They've got on the backs, you've got X's. So you start with 6 in the game and you shuffle them and you reel 3 for this particular game. So these can be purchased and they're out there in the open market. Once they're gone, they're gone. And try not to, like I have done in the past, is put these back onto the market. They just stay down here. And looking at the market then, you can see there's how many columns? 6 columns. Now when you prep the market, which is what we're doing now, you take tiles from the lowest values first, and you can maybe take one from this column, one from this column, and or if you wanted to take other ones from the column, but you have to work your way from top to bottom. You can't just randomly take this one up here. And how many you pick is based on how many available workers you've got left. So in this case, the red is going to be first, so it's always from then on, from the first round, the player who has the lowest number, and they have to pick 2 because they got 2 available workers. Remember, this one was used to actually bid on it. So they get to take 2 tiles. Now you're looking at these and thinking, okay, do I want a better machine maybe that produces, more goods, but it's going to have 2 workers and have an energy cost of 1? Or do I want a robot here that you can see it's a green for the actual work, which means this robot will do the work of 2 men or 2 people, which means you can take 2 of these from your factory and put them back in your available workers if the maths all figures out in the bureaucracy phase, which will make sense. So let's just say they want to put this one in the open market and they want to go for this one here. So because they got 2 available workers, they've brought 2 tiles from this board into the open market. You then go clockwise, so this player has, say, 3 available workers, and they're going to go, let's just speed up, we'll go 1, 2, 3, and I made a right mess of this. So this now, once all players have done that action, is the available market to purchase. Now, interestingly, these guys went first, and they brought out some of the lower end pieces of equipment. These guys went second, who probably brought out some of the better stuff, but because it's in player order, number 1 actually gets first dibs on these, and because they've got 2 available workers, they could potentially take up to 2 of these tiles. So let's just say they go for this one. So it's good. Well, actually, that's not too great. And the kind of what you're thinking about here is you want to get these up, like I said earlier, to be, your lowest one is going to be your income. So potentially we want to get an extra production. So looking at these, we could pay 17 for that one. I think we're going to do that. It's quite pricey. You only start with 18 electros in the first round. Now again, we can put this, has to match that symbol there. It goes up here. We don't do any of the figuring out just yet. We pay our money, and these guys haven't got a discount. So money to the bank, they'd only have 1 buck left, and you put this worker on here, this available worker, to say that's what they've been built. They've got 2 available workers left. Not probably the best move, but there's not actually that many great tiles out there, but that will come into play shortly when they up that, and then they go clockwise. These guys are thinking, okay, I've got 3 workers. They'd go for, say, this one. They'd pay the cost, check them on the factory, but they would get a reduction of 2 from the cost price here. And once everyone has purchased your tiles, you also have the option to tear things down. So maybe these guys instead, they've got 2 available workers on their turn, and you do this all at the same time. You'd buy your tiles and you tear things down. It's literally where you say, okay, I don't want this one here because it's really inefficient. It's taking 2 of my workers. You put it to the side, you put a worker to say they are working this round to tear that down. And it'll make sense in the bureaucracy phase what would happen there. Now, you could also hire one of these seasonal workers, and they cost 7 electros each, and you can see they've got a slightly longer hand than your normal workers. You would add them to the bottom here, and they become available for you do this after you've used all your dudes, and then they become available for the entirety of the end of this round, which wouldn't be anything anyway, and the next round. So these can act as workers in your canteen. They could act as workers to bid on things, workers to use in the market phase to get extra stuff. So really handy to give you more options there. So that's literally it. You can buy tiles, add them onto your board, you can tear them down, and at the end you have a chance to hire a seasonal worker. Now, interestingly, these don't stay with you for the entire game with that one cost. When it's the next round, and there's only 5 rounds, you have to choose whether you're going to keep it or you're going to pay 7 electro. Again, remember, these discounts apply for those as well as the buildings. We then move into the bureaucracy phase, which is where you actually figure out, what is your production now. So we got 1, 2. So and we got 1 sneaky one up here actually. So our production goes up to 3. We've got storage 1, 2, 3. That's fine. And we do our energy consumption. So we've got 2 here, 2 there, that's 4. But this green one, because we're optimizing our factory, is a reduction of 1. So our energy is only on 3, which is great. And how many workers do we need? We need 2, 4. We've got 4 there. We bring all the other dudes back off our board. So we've got 4 there. And we then, everyone does that, we go into the income phase or distributed income, and this is where you look at the top here and you can see our lowest one's on 30. We then deduct the current cost of energy, so we're using 3 units of energy to power everything in our factory. We look at the cost at the top here. Now you would reveal this top one, which should be a 0 and a start, and sort of if you're quite new to the game, it recommends to put a 0 tile to begin with. But if you sort of played it a few times, you'd shuffle these, and it could be a +1 or a +2, and basically you would increase the energy by that amount. So we had a 0, didn't we? So we're not actually going to fluctuate. So each unit of electricity is going to cost you 1, and these guys have used how much? 3 units. So that's $3 off the 30 income is 27 income they get from the bank to lead them into next round to buy more goodies and potentially hire workers and what have you. That is literally how one round plays out. And there's 5 of these what they call increase in electric prices, so that kind of helps you figure out what round you're on. Now when you get to the end of the 5th round, you get double income, and whoever has the most money, so you want to be shrewd over what you buy, and you don't want to be too full of all these great machines and robots. Otherwise you're spending all your money on capital, and that's how you win the game. Now I should add that in this, in a 2-player game it doesn't apply, but let's just say you're playing a 4-player game and these guys have brought out 4 tiles. They were first. The next player brought out, say, 2 tiles because they only had 2 workers available. They have the option to bring out a couple more workers. Now it's mandatory to bring out tiles into the market based on how many available workers. That's a lot of stuff I just said then, but basically there's a couple of rules where you can bring out more as well. There's a couple of quirks. If you have 2 machines, you can only have 2 robots in play, which are these ones here, the red and yellow. You can have more, but you won't be able to use them. You'll kind of have to put one of these tokens on, say, your 3rd robot to show you can't use it, because you can only have 1 robot per machine there as well. And you always need an available worker going into your next round, so you do not want to be having, say, 2, 4, 6, 7 workers needed to run machines. You will literally have to make one of your machines out of use, which would affect your bureaucracy, and you'd have workers back, but you'd have less production because it's not in operation. But you always need to go into the next round with at least 1 available worker. And that is literally it, folks. Enjoy.